Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the holidays.
It's time.
We open at the North Pole at Santa's workshop on the eve of Christmas. Inside the reindeer stables, the big guy prepares to deliver the children's presents and looks like he's had a rough night already. There's a noise at the door, so Santa picks up his already blood-soaked axe to confront a blinding light, but we jump back 12 hours. In the small town of Bailey Downs, the most commonly named radio host Dangerous Dan settles in for a long holiday shift. He's decorated the station, spiked his eggnog, and intends to ride out the night with slurred monologues about the true meaning of Christmas. The grumpy weatherman Norman is told that he's required to help at the food drive at the local mall but doesn't seem very happy about it. Meanwhile, three 20-something-year-old students are filming a documentary about the unsolved murders of two students. Molly is the reporter, Dylan the cameraman, and Ben the sound technician, who all nervously break into the school after hours. The fourth member of their Scooby gang and Dylan's girlfriend was supposed to join them, but Caprice was dragged away on a family trip. Avoiding a teacher, the trio flee into the basement, which was once used to discard women who got pregnant before marriage. The building was originally a convent where nuns would live their lives in shame and is scattered with religious iconography. Doors slam closed by themselves and a girl shown standing behind Ben, but she vanishes when he turns around. The three find a bloody Bible passage on the wall referencing the birth of Jesus that's still there from exactly a year ago when the students were killed. Getting scared, the group run away but find the basement door is now jammed, leaving them trapped with no phone service. The officer Scott, who discovered the students' bodies a year ago, has brought his family out to chop down a Christmas tree. His wife Kim's reluctant to trespass onto private property, but their son William thinks that this is where all the best trees are at. This is a police officer, mind you, who cuts down somebody else's tree and drags it back to his truck, but the reclusive landowner Big Earl spots them. The parents suddenly realize that their son has gone missing for no discernible reason. He just literally wandered off when nobody was looking. They frantically search the grove, calling his name, until finding him hiding inside a large hollowed-out tree, unharmed, but unable or unwilling to speak. The parents are relieved, but the boy just stares at them as if he's studying strangers, and somehow this is all the husband's fault. Meanwhile, Caprice and her family pass Scott and Kim while visiting her father Taylor's extended family to hopefully get a handout. The arrogant businessman is facing financial ruin of his own making and insists on dragging down his own wife Diane. Hoping to charm her into bailing them out, they visit Aunt Etta, but she's an unsentimental old bag who tells them to piss off. A servant named Gerhardt recites the legend of Krampus, who punishes the wicked on Christmas instead of rewarding them like his counterpart. Caprice's younger brother Duncan doesn't care to hear it, so breaks a small statue of the anti-Santa on his way out. On the drive back, the family argue about making Etta mad, but Caprice is the only one who noticed that she was scared, not angry. Just then the pasty-horned Big Hoof himself crosses the road, causing Taylor to veer into a ditch, getting them stuck in the middle of nowhere. They use the light of a flare to trudge through the snow until the father is impaled through the stomach with a chain. None of them seem very concerned that Dad's bleeding out until Duncan is dragged off into the woods, so they get a little worried. They completely ditch the father, so Taylor needs to stuff his wound full of dirt or something and catch up to the rest of the family. Unable to find Duncan, they take refuge in a small church while the chains and growling of Krampus are heard just outside the door. Meanwhile, at what appears to be the North Pole, elves frantically prepare presents to deliver as the big night approaches. Martha Claus calls for a cookie break, but Shiny Elf suddenly snaps in a fit of rage and puts an axe through his own hand. Whatever affliction has struck him causes Shiny to drop dead, which everyone, including Santa himself, thought killing an elf was impossible. That night, the rest of the usually cheery helpers turn into ravenous zombies, so Santa sharpens his staff on the fireplace. When the elves break through the door, he sends Martha away to hide. Then when Jingles charges at him, Santa beheads the little helper and throws Shiny through a window. He jumps on the lift when Sparkles comes rounding the corner with multiple other undead elves that swarm old Saint Nick off screen. Meanwhile, the filmmakers are still trying to find a way out of the school when a bloody ghost named Grace scares Dylan, but he thinks it was a mannequin. Somehow he then leaves the others by himself on the anniversary of an unsolved double homicide at the same location to go piss. Disappointingly, it isn't Dylan that Grace targets, but instead Molly, who begins to have a seizure when the ghost possesses her body. Sometime later, she wakes up acting demonic and lures Dylan into the room where the students were killed to try seduce him. He's a loyal boyfriend, so rebuffs Grace's advances, getting a crucifix shoved into his brain for all of that self-restraint. Ben, on the other hand, is single, so has no problem banging Molly, who he's always had a crush on, and just like that, she's pregnant. When Grace withdraws from control, Molly seems unaware of what happened, while Ben hears a noise and goes to check it out. He finds Dylan dead and gets angry at Molly because she gave Grace a way to complete the pregnancy that was stolen from her. The previous year's targets resisted like Dylan, which is why they were killed and why the ghost appears now holding a stillborn. There's no requirement for a father anymore, so she breaks his neck, then places her hand on Molly's belly, implying your baby is mine. All of the doors unlock, allowing the pregnant Molly to walk out of the building in a trance while carrying the ghost's unborn child. Meanwhile, the cop who will discover this spends the night with his family decorating their new tree, but William is still acting withdrawn. Scott just thinks that it's because Dad missed last Christmas, but that doesn't explain why the kid greedily shovels food into his mouth as if he's never eaten before. William stabs his dad with a fork when he tries to take the plate, and Kim tells Scott to calm down before he belts this kid upside the head. Later, Kim finally realizes that the child they brought out of the woods isn't their son because William hasn't used his inhaler since returning home. All Scott can think about now is fooling around with his wife, so he's sent to the living room to cool off and listens to some dangerous Dan. The station receives calls of a disturbance at the local mall, so he expresses his concern for Norm and tells his listeners to avoid the area. Meanwhile, something slides into Kim's bed, who thinks it's Scott at first, but when she wakes up it scurries back into her child's bedroom. While appearing like a normal human boy, William is shown in a reflection to be a little troll called a changeling that replaced him in the forest. Big Earl calls Kim to confirm these suspicions and says that it needs to be returned to the grove quickly or her real child will be lost forever. She doesn't believe him, so hangs up, but Scott wakes up to find all of the Christmas presents already opened and plans to finally punish the boy. Kim throws herself between them and blames Scott's PTSD for everything, so he goes back to drinking by himself on Christmas Eve. The mimic is shown lurking around behind Scott without him noticing, and when Kim hears glass break in the living room, she grabs a baseball bat. Probably should have listened to Scott because she discovers her husband strangled to death with the changeling chewing on his severed hand. Kim calls back Big Earl, who says that if you're friendly the little monster will behave, so she politely invites it to go for a drive. Suspicious of seeing the bat in Mommy's hand, the creature lunges at her, so Kim just bludgeons him enough to stuff inside a bag. She drags him out to the tree, hoping that Big Earl can reverse what's happened, but he isn't an enemy and more a guardian for the creatures. Despite that, he kicks the crap out of the one who escaped and orders it back into a tree, but Kim demands her son. Earl draws his gun, so Kim shoots him dead with her husband's and assumes the changelings are now about to attack her for revenge. The little swollen-eyed troll not only lets Kim live but also returns the real William as a reward for freeing them of Big Earl's torment. Meanwhile, the Bauer family are freezing to death, and Caprice suggests that maybe they're being hunted by the Krampus because she stole a lighter from Aunt Edda's. Worse than that, apparently Duncan killed all of their house pets, and Taylor admits that he's going to jail for tax evasion. Thinking these confessions might drive the spirit of Krampus away, a chain comes flying through the window and drags Taylor out, so I guess that's a note. The girls hide in the confession booth, and when Krampus comes licking around, Diane stabs it in the tongue and sacrifices herself. She acts as a distraction, allowing her daughter to run all the way back to Edda's place while being followed by the rattling of chains. Finding nobody inside, the Krampus catches up, but Caprice manages to pick up a pole and impale the charging snowman through the throat. She then covers it in gas and with Edda's lighter sets Krampus on fire, causing it to revert into Gerhardt before dying. Later that night, Edda explains that Gerhardt transformed into the monster due to his anger over the family breaking the statue. She says that anybody can become the spirit of Christmas vengeance if they have enough hate inside them, which is exactly what Caprice is after hearing this. Realizing that Edda was fully aware this would happen and sent her family away anyway, Caprice transforms into Krampus and punishes Edda. Meanwhile, at the North Pole, Santa survived his elevated ambush and puts Shiny down for good. He enters the mailroom and must put down his entire workforce of elves, as they've all become ravenous, foul-mouthed little zombies. Santa slashes his way through a dozen of these little helpers while only taking damage when one stabs him in the foot with a pair of scissors. Once all of the other elves are dispatched, the final one still to deal with is Jingles, having only had a bit taken off the top. He runs at Santa, but a lone Keebler is no match for the big guy, who beats in the elf's head with another elf's head. He picks up an axe from the workshop and goes searching around to discover that the infection has reached even his beloved wife. With great sorrow for Martha, who lunges at Santa with murderous intent, he puts her down with the axe. Tying in with the beginning of the movie, Santa's about to deliver the presents when Krampus is revealed to be the source of the corruption. The arch-enemies have a battle in the reindeer stables, and I'm assuming this is Caprice who disarms Santa's spear and gets the upper hand. Presumably Blitzen and Dasher are about to watch Saint Nick get got, but he picks up the axe and chops off one of the monster's horns. It shatters like ice, but before Santa can finish off the evil spirit of Christmas, it shouts Norman in perfect English. "Please don't kill me." The illusion is broken, and the so-called Santa Claus is revealed to be the weatherman having a psychotic break while working overtime. Norm's rampage is the disturbance at the mall mentioned on the radio and caused him to see regular people as the zombie elves. Police show up just in time to gun down the axe-wielding Santa before he adds the mall manager to the list of deceased.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
And the movie ends.